Thanks, mate. Mitch, is there a better place to be than for a week of warm weather training in Thailand?
Oh, absolutely not. I've actually loved the warmer weather, to be honest, and Japan's starting to get that way as well. So I feel like I'm very acclimatized to this kind of weather.
Good stuff, mate. I guess looking forward to this period. How do you make sure that when you made that step up to J1, that you're coming in firing on all cylinders to make sure he knows you're still the man for him.
Yeah, for me, just obviously I've had a different role to play essentially so far this season with my J1 team. We're doing really well. We're top of the table at the moment. But I've had my chances. I've played some cup games where I've started and had my appearances off the bench. And in May, I think I got about 4 goals in 6 games. So I think that kind of form also helps get selected coming into this camp. And knowing that I've still got that goal scoring form to help the team.
Joey?
Yeah, hey, Juki, hope you're going well, mate. Maybe just following up on what you said there, because as you said, your team is top of the J1 league at the moment, but you are coming off the bench. I mean, as a footballer, a competitive beast that wants to be playing every single minute of every single game, I mean, when the transfer window opens, what is in your thinking? Do you look elsewhere in search of more minutes, or if you see my team's top of the table, I want to lift the J1 league trophy? What are you thinking when that comes up?
Yeah, I think with my competitiveness, it's definitely starting to come through where I'm starting to make I'm going to have to make a big decision coming into this transfer window. I've had some conversations with my club, so I guess we'll see what goes on from then. But for me, I'm just focusing on trying to take my chances when I get them and show myself. And the last month has been really good. Like I said, I've hit some goal scoring form. The club's really happy with what I'm doing. And I guess we'll see what happens with more playing minutes. If not, then Japan's window opens up in July, and I'll have to make a big decision coming to that point when it gets to it.
And on the subject of competitiveness, mate, now you're in camp as well. It's you, Cassini, and all these strikers going for it. Obviously, good-natured competition, but still very much a competition to prove that you should be starting against Bangladesh and Palestine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more competition, the better, and that's only going to improve our squad depth and seeing who's ready to put their hand up and take that position for sure. It's actually great to see how many more strikers we have at our disposal with some of the amazing seasons that they had with Tags, Stammer, Cassini, all those boys as well. And obviously, myself can put my hand up. We've got Lex that can also play that role, and even Boyley as well. So we've got a lot of attacking power. So I think for me, I love that competition. I welcome it, and it will be interesting to see who can put their hand up and show themselves in training, because that's where we get to show ourselves and see who gets selected for the Bangladesh game and the Palestine game.
Benz?
G'day, Mitch. Cassini actually said the other day that you're a person he gravitates towards. Are you happy showing these younger strikers the ropes a little bit, and how determined are you to get to the next World Cup?
Yeah,
Maybe
100%.
describe yourself as an old man before.
Well, I spotted myself on camera. I was like, the receding hairline's starting to run back a bit further now. But to be honest, it's obviously for me. I'd love some players to look up to me, and for me, if I can help them in any way, become even 1% better as a striker or an attacker, especially I guess in the Socceroos setup of what I'm known to be, more so than maybe some other strikers where they're a bit more of a prolific kind of finisher, where I do a lot more of the dirty work with what I've just known to be with as a player, doing a lot of defensive running. I think if anyone can add that to their game, players like Cassini Yengi, who's already a physical beast, to be able to do that, plus with the qualities he has, he could be an absolute machine for us moving forward, and all the other players as well, of course. So for me, if they have anything that they want to look up to me for, I'll take that in my stride and try and help them for sure. And for me, like I said, I'm the older player now as well. So for me, I'm happy to even have a bit more of a different role within the group and be a leader, and take a step back to make sure that they're ready for their opportunities when they get them. Because like I said, I'm an Australian supporter first as well. I just want to see us do well, whether that's me on the pitch or on the bench coming off. I want to see us just performing well, doing the best that we can do, and showing the world what we can do.
Beautiful. You scored a couple of goals against Bangladesh. I think, last time out. What are your thoughts and hopes coming into this one?
Yeah, you can take a lot of confidence. I think that's an important thing for a striker. So for me, I'm quite excited and ready to relish that opportunity if I get it, and confident I can bang in a few more given the chance. And that's for me. I've come off the back of good goal scoring form as well with club football, so that always helps. And for me, I think that's been a bit of a different case, I guess, going into the Asian Cup where I was a bit more away from football for a while. It's always good coming into a camp where you're just doing well with club football and you just kind of ride that wave. And I'm ready to show what I can do for the national team in these next 2 games.
Marco?
Mitch, you were talking before about, you often have to do this sort of dirty work, the work that sort of goes, I guess unnoticed. Does that sometimes frustrate you that the work that you do isn't noticed by, fans and supporters who, might say, oh, you're not scoring enough goals?
No, to be honest, I think as long as the main people that are involved in the team, the coach, obviously the head coach first, as long as he knows that I'm doing a job for the team and we're getting results. In the last game we obviously won 5-0 against Lebanon, which I started that game with Cass, and there's certain moments where I think that is maybe it goes unnoticed. Like even I think the second goal where I chased down a defender, we got a free kick from it when I won it back, and then we scored off that free kick. There's little things like that where it's just that kind of press can create those opportunities. But for me as well, like I'm still not satisfied with that. I want to make sure I'm still involved in the goals because that's what we're paid to do and what we're brought in to do as the head man and as a striker. But for me, we know that we're a whole collective team and everyone needs to do their job. And part of that with Arnie especially is the strikers need to work hard. That's our first line of defence. So I think that's first things first. Do that defensive duty and then obviously finish the end product as well.
And mate, just back on your club for a minute. Have you guys surprised, sort of yourselves with how well you're doing considering that you just came up from, J2 last season?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a nice surprise. I think when we first were in discussions at the beginning of the season, we were talking about finishing mid-table to the top half of the table, and now we've reassessed that. We're talking about winning the league because we're 16 games in, top of the table, which is incredible and nice position to be in, to be able to reassess our goals and be like, you know what, we can be the champions of J1.
Luke?
You mentioned playing in a 2 there with Cass. Is that something you think Arnie's sort of partial to? It doesn't happen very often at Socceroos level where you've got a striker up beside you.
No, it's something he's, I think, played around with in the last couple games, playing with 2 strikers instead of a striker and a 10, essentially. So, and yeah, it's kind of cool. Like with the last game, I really enjoyed playing with Cass. I think we're both 2 physically good players, and we can kind of intimidate the defence, and we can be an absolute nightmare for them to deal with, which is a good prospect to have. And we've got so many different players at our disposal with our strikers. We've got amazing finishers, technically good players like Tags. We had Bruno. We've got Stemmer in this time as well. Me and Cass, who can be like real big physical presence, also tidy on the ball and keeping that kind of post play and being involved in the build up. But I think that's definitely a good weapon to have, I think, with me and Cass.
And just with, I guess, the last sort of maybe 6 months, I mean, one of the things that Arnie said he wanted to work on was just those slide balls in the final third, those little sort of deft touches to play you guys in. Just wondering what you've seen from Daniel coming into camp as sort of something that he's really good at, whether you've already sort of naturally linked up with him in training or noticed that, those little more balls in drills and type of thing, or if you haven't noticed much difference?
For me, I actually only came in yesterday. I was like the last player to come into camp, so I was also a little bit mixed in with training yesterday. I was in and out just because of all the travel and stuff, but it's great to see him back anyway. I've watched actually some of his games in the A-League season, and I have seen a step up in his level and also even his work rate in defensive duties as well, which is great to see him back in. He's going to be a huge asset for us. Players like him and Nesta who can excite the fans, create something out of nothing, and yeah, with his delivery and his passes into the box, that's something strikers are really excited about and to get on the end of for sure and give him those assists.
Guys, any further follow-ups for Mitch? Probably got time for one or two more if anyone had a pressing question.
Can I just jump in there, mate?
Absolutely.
Mitch, with you guys, you know, you've already qualified for the next round. You've played 2 teams you've already beaten in this qualification phase. What's Arnie's messaging to kind of keep you guys on your toes? Because it could very easily just be you lads there for a good time, turn up, go through the motions, that kind of thing. But he's not that kind of coach.
Yeah, to be honest, I am. Like I said, I came in yesterday. All the boys have been in about five or so days now, and they've done all those meetings. I haven't actually asked what the messaging has been. I know I've been involved in all the previous camps, so I'm sure it's all along the same kind of lines. But I'll have to ask the boys actually about, because there's obviously a lot of fresh faces in this camp as well. Some of the young ones like Nestor and all that being back in. Daniel Alzani having a bit of a long period away. Lecky's been away for over a year. So I'm sure he's refreshed the messaging there with the boys. But I'm sure it's along the same lines of, we need to make sure we still get the results regardless. This is not about just, okay, some players might get their opportunities, but if you do, we need a job done. We need results. And, because in these kinds of games as well, we may have already qualified, but our results still help towards FIFA rankings, and we're chasing down South Korea, to help us with also like the potting system and into groups. So that's definitely still a priority for us to make sure we win these games.
And last one from you, Joey.
You mentioned watching the A-League before, and obviously Nizzy's come into camp fresh off a title with the Mariners. You were at the Mariners for a period of success, as was Arnie. What did you make of the Mariners' run to the championship and the treble this season?
Honestly, I really enjoyed watching the Mariners. I had moments where I don't get too caught up into games sometimes, or too emotional. I kind of watch it and just enjoy the game or whatever, and not get too much on my edge of my seat. But the final, especially with Mariners versus Melbourne Victory, I was like proper on the edge of my seat, wanting Mariners to get that equaliser to go into extra time. And when they got that, I was honestly loving life. And I just felt that Mariners were it was a fairy tale, and they were going to get the job done. And I love seeing what they achieved. I think it's great for Australian football, great for the A-League to see what the Mariners had done. And honestly, couldn't be happier for that club to have that success and that history-making season that they had. I really, really enjoyed watching them play, and obviously Nizzy being such a huge factor to that as well, being the engine and the playmaker and just being involved in everything. It's great to see him doing really well and getting his recognition for the season that he had.
Perfect.